Who we haven't fought? Imagine that. They gotta lie. They gotta lie. They gotta lie all the time. They can't even believe their own lie. You can't even believe your own lie.
I want to be the best. So when I see certain guys out there, and I seen Tio his last fight, I was there front row, and I'm like, damn, this dude is like, he like a baby Roy. Like he like doing things with his hands down, flashy.
Too much of it. You know, I think that he believes in himself. That's one thing. But I'm here to destroy his dreams and all that he wants to do and become. You can't take this from me. I worked very hard for it.
During the press conference, Teofimo Lopez delivered a strong warning to Shakur Stevenson and made it clear that he plans to hurt him inside the ring. He said that even if people see him as the weaker fighter, he will prove exactly what he can do. Lopez explained that anyone who doubts him is making a serious mistake. He promised to control the fight from start to finish. He added that his ability, strength, and mindset will leave no questions about who he really is.
They kept asking that protection program.
Money talk, walk. Money talk.
The program shows Lopez with strong determination before his fight against Shakur Stevenson. He appears confident and fully locked in on the challenge ahead. He says he will take control inside the ring and is ready to show his skill power and smart game plan. His mindset is very clear from start to finish. He is fully focused on winning and wants to leave no doubt about what he can do.
Yeah. I'm gonna beat him up.
And we know at one point you contemplated retirement. Seems like you're in a good place now. You're active. Where are you at right now? Where are you feeling about your career?
Mentally, I'm in the Bahamas somewhere, having a coquito.
Teofimo Lopez makes it very clear that he will not let Shakur Stevenson take the belt he fought hard to win. He talks about the sacrifices behind his success and explains that the title stands for years of struggle, pain, and dedication. For Teofimo, this fight is about defending everything he built through non-stop hard work and patience. He believes deeply in himself and is fully determined to protect his place in the ring. Lopez sees this moment as personal, driven by pride and effort, and says that no one can take away something he earned through blood, discipline, and commitment.
Of being in the ring,
yes.
Shakur Stevenson, obviously you guys are both in Las Vegas. I'm hearing that you did link up today. A face-off happened between the two of you?
Face-off happened, things of that nature, just to create the things that are in motion already. So we're really adamant about fighting each other next, and I can't wait for us to really lace it up. And I see him across the ring, and really when that bell rings, lights out for him.
What's it like seeing him now kind of face to face? When you look at him, what do you see? Because obviously you're not locked in just yet, and the closer it gets to a fight, obviously things turn a little bit. But when you do look at Shakur, what do you think of him?
I think I don't think too much of it. You know, I think that he believes in himself. That's one thing. But I'm here to destroy his dreams and all that he wants to do and become. You can't take this from me. I worked very hard for it. I've bled for this, and I'm not taking nothing from him, but I just believe that what's gonna happen next is for destiny in the boxing.
Aoya explains the Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez fight and says it will most likely last all 12 rounds. He believes the first 6 rounds will play a big role in deciding how the fight turns out. He points out that Shakur may not start fast and could choose to move backward and study how Lopez attacks. If Teofimo controls or clearly wins the early rounds, it could force Shakur to change his plan later and make the fight much tighter. Lopez is described as a fast starter who depends on early power and energy, and Aoya questions if he can keep that pace for the entire fight. If Shakur feels he is behind early, he will need to press harder in the later rounds, which could lead to a very intense ending and close title rounds. On the other hand, if Lopez drops the first few rounds, Shakur could move smoothly toward a clear points win. This breakdown shows the fight as a mental battle where timing, stamina, and round-by-round choices will decide the winner.
I don't think that Shakur is going to come out and try to fight or take the fight to Tio in the first 6 rounds at all. So if he's fighting off the back foot, if Tio can make it so that he's convincingly, or he's convinced at least Shakur that he may have won 4 of the first 6 rounds, if it's 4-2 in Shakur's mind going into the second half of the fight, or if I'm looking at him stealing those first 6 rounds, then it's an interesting fight going into the tail end, because Tio, to me, is a front runner, right? I want to see if he can carry his energy and his explosiveness late in the fight and not wear down. And then when Shakur starts to open up, can you steal some of those championship rounds from him and make it like a close fight? I think if Tio comes out and does what he usually does, which is try to swarm Shakur early and keep Shakur on the defensive early, then he can try to steal a lot of those early rounds. And if he does that, then Shakur has to fight in the tail end of that fight, and that'll make it real interesting. If I'm looking at the first 3 rounds, first 4 rounds, and Tio looks like he's losing those rounds convincingly, then it's an easy night for Shakur, unanimous decision in my opinion. You know what I mean? Because I don't think Tio is going to bring anything late in the game, you know what I mean, to this fight. I think if he is who he's always been, you know, he's going to get gassed after like the 7th round and then take some rounds off. And when he does that, Shakur will open up and start to try to pick him apart, pot shot him, and do things like that. But this is the perfect fight, narrative-wise, for Shakur, because I've been waiting for Shakur to get into that fight where, you know, he doesn't have the fight where he doesn't have his Diego Corrales fight. You know what I mean? Where you think he's actually in danger. Shakur has been he's been outclassing everybody he's in the ring with. You know what I mean? Then the guys that you think could give him some work, like De Los Santos, I know people hate when I bring that fight up, but I want to see him act.
Shakur Stevenson says his motivation comes from a strong competitive nature that always pushes him to face the hardest challenges in boxing. After watching Teofimo Lopez in past fights, Stevenson noticed his confident and flashy style, which reminded him of a young Roy and sparked a desire to test himself against that level of talent. He sees this fight as an important chance to measure his skills against a top opponent while adjusting to new tactics. Looking back at his fight with William Ada Stevenson, admits it was unusual and very demanding, but it helped him grow by proving he can perform under pressure and tough conditions. He understands that fighters who apply non-stop pressure are meant to test him, yet he handled that approach well, which boosted his belief in himself. Now as he prepares to face Lopez, Stevenson feels ready to deal with the speed, power, and unpredictability of a high-level fighter. His focus, ability to adjust, and experience give him confidence that he can handle the fight smartly and turn it into a full test of his skill, mindset, and readiness to compete at the highest stage of the sport.
But bro, what is it about you that has you, looking at a fighter that you know is the truth and then saying, I want to fight him? It seems like it should be normal if you're a fighter, right? But that stuff is dying off in the game right now. And I feel like you one of the last of the dying breed that actually want real challenges.
Yeah, I'm competitive, bro. So it's like, I want to be the best. So when I see certain guys out there, and I seen Tio his last fight, I was there front row, and I'm like, damn, this dude is like, he like a baby Roy. Like he like doing things with hands down, flashy. And I thought it was cool. So it kind of made me want to get in the ring with him and see if he could do them things against my style.
Your last fight was against William Zepeda in July, and you fought a totally different way. It wasn't the easiest way or the best way to fight, but I think it was good for you and your development because it not only sent a message to the rest of the division, one up, your division at that time, and then the one above you, but it sent a message to the fans. But I think it also did something for you to prove to yourself that, man, listen, that wasn't like my best performance, but I showed you I can get it out the mud. What did that performance kind of do for you now that you look back at it?
Honestly, I think like styles wise, I think that Zepeda's style is the style that's supposed to give me the most trouble. Like guys that box and give me time to think is the guys that's gonna have a fit with me all night. But the guys who press me and put me against some ropes and throw a million punches, that's the style that's supposed to give me trouble. So I went out there and I prevailed against that style, and now I'm fighting against a boxer, which for me it just makes it more fun. I don't have to deal with a guy that's trying to like wear me down.
Chris Algieri talks about why the Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez fight matters so much for boxing. He says the sport needs top fighters to face each other and take risks even if a loss is possible, because great fighters can still stay at the highest level after setbacks. Algieri believes this fight represents that mindset and sees it as a high-skill contest rather than a wild exchange of non-stop punches. He explains that the technique and game planning will keep fans fully focused and shows that quality is more important than constant action. He adds that a win for Shakur would firmly place him among the top 5 to 7 pound-for-pound fighters, even though many already feel he belongs there. Algieri describes the matchup as a classic style fight between the best in a division. He highlights the tension, skill, and history that come with fights like this, and compares the excitement and strategy to legendary battles, proving that elite boxing is still exciting and meaningful today.
Health of boxing on this side of the world. listen, there's nothing like the Garden. We both fought there many times. I fought in the big room. There's nothing like the Garden. Just the vibe, like you said, champ, that's around that. And this fight is deserving to be here. It's that good of a fight. It's that big a fight, and especially like I said, like the health of American boxing. This is one of the best fights that can be made. And putting it in the Garden just makes too much sense.
But the idea of the turmoil, the eyes on it, the spectacle, the circus. Chris, you talked about the idea that Teofimo Lopez kind of lives in this. That's where he flourishes. That's what he loves. This idea that because there's so many eyeballs on it, it's going to be kind of a circus. Does that favor Teofimo a little bit when you look at the strategy? Yes, no?
I'm going to say well, I can't say for certain because there's no certain with Teofimo Lopez. He's one of the most up, down, left, right guys I've ever been around.
Mercurial, we could say. Yes.
But when he is on, he's damn near unbeatable. I mean, he's such a good athlete. He has such a good boxing IQ. He's so physical and explosive. And again, I've said this on past shows. I've called him many times for Top Rank, been around fight weeks. And it just seems to me, the more out of sorts he seems, the more back against the wall it looks like, the more that he's an underdog, the better he performs. And this could be that kind of situation. New York is a tough place, man. They're already gibbering, going back and forth, saying like, you know, he reps Brooklyn, but there's kind of questions about his Brooklyn roots. Can he really rep Brooklyn in the way that he says he can? So he's already getting that heat for that. I don't know. It might be a good thing to poke the bear in terms of how well Teofimo is going to show up.
Paulies, that's a huge. You're from Brooklyn. That's a big insult to say that you're not really from Brooklyn.
Insult him a little bit.
Insult him a little bit. Insult him, man.
But I'll tell you what. There's so many thoughts in my head with this situation because Teofimo is at his most dangerous when he's counted out. And this is going to be one of those fights.
Bruce Carrington breaks down Teofimo Lopez's upcoming fight with Shakur Stevenson and points out a major weakness in Lopez's style. He says Lopez has trouble dealing with constant movement and changing angles. Even with his natural athletic gifts and strong punching power, Lopez may struggle against a fighter who controls space and stays disciplined. Carrington explains that Stevenson's calm approach and fight intelligence can take advantage of this and cause Lopez to rush or waste chances. By managing distance and tempo, Stevenson can force Lopez to fight at his pace instead of his own. Carrington also notes that while Lopez is dangerous in fast, explosive moments, his heavy focus on power can work against him when facing a patient, mobile opponent. Stevenson's smart defense and ability to reset after exchanges could frustrate Lopez and drain his energy as rounds pass. In the end, Carrington believes Lopez must improve his movement and show more patience to beat Stevenson's technical skill. This analysis shows a fight where footwork, timing, and ring awareness may decide the result and proves that athletic ability alone may not be enough to defeat a highly disciplined and intelligent fighter.
So like Teo is going to bring the fight. He's very athletic. He has a lot of explosiveness, and but I do feel like when it comes to Shakur, bro, his movement may frustrate him. The only thing that worries me when it comes to Teofimo is his frustration. Like, is he going to be able to work well with a mover? You know, we've seen, difficulties that he had with Sandor Martin. We've seen the difficulties that he had with Jimmy Ortiz, guys that's been moving around and not staying still. Like, if you keep Teo moving around and he can't plant his feet, what can he do? We're going to have to find that out on, January 31st. And I think Shakur, he's probably one of the best guys to, move his feet, be on defense, being hella patient and frustrating a fighter, bro. Like, so, I don't know. We've seen Teo get frustrated to the point where he's asking himself, do I still got it? You know what I'm saying? We got to see what his mentality is going to be like come January 31st.
Do you think that his experience on the biggest of stages, his two biggest wins, he was an underdog. Then both guys, ironically enough, were southpaws like Shakur. That play any factor to you, man?
Nah, styles is different. The styles are totally different. Lomachenko don't fight like Shakur. Josh Taylor don't fight like Shakur. Like I don't see just because southpaw that same thing will happen. I feel like certain techniques could be used to fight Shakur, yeah. But in terms of like that approach of the fight, nah. Like Shakur fights totally different. You gotta be able to do some out of pocket stuff with Shakur. You gotta throw while he's throwing. That's probably some of the only times that he's able to get hit. Only time he's open. So yeah, other than that, bro, it's gonna be a pretty tough night. Teofimo Lopez, but I feel like
Gary Antoine Russell gives a focused view of Teofimo Lopez by talking about a specific version of him instead of judging his overall talent. He points to Lopez's fight with Vasily Lomachenko as the best example of how he performs at his highest level. Russell explains that Lopez is most effective when he mixes strong aggression with full control. He says Lopez must stay calm while applying non-stop pressure so he can force opponents into bad positions without leaving himself open to counters. This mix of pressure and discipline makes him very hard to deal with. Russell adds that when Lopez fully follows his plan, keeps the pace high, uses his athletic ability, and times his attacks well, he can take over rounds and push even top-level fighters into defense.
You need to think him up on that offense. Right? Because you got to strap and you play with me.
Yeah, nah, for sure. I mean, look, like you said, the first thing you said was bluffing McMuffin, right? So you don't think that he's going to do that. Let's just say that's the case. Let's say he wins this fight, but he doesn't win the fight. Whatever happens.
Right, because you made a statement after he said all that shit. I'm going to go back down to 35. So which one is it? Man, he kind of 6'7" with...
No, there you go.
Come on, which one is it?
So let's talk about 140 then. Because obviously there's other champions there. One who you've been going back and forth with recently online. One that you have history with. And you got other guys, Subriel there, somebody else you had history, Richardson Hitchens. What's the route for you going forward after your next fight?
After my next fight, unify. I've always let it be known. I want to be undisputed in my division. I want to unify. Anybody who got a title at the time, that's what I need to see next after my next up-and-coming fight.
Gary, go ahead. Just talk about, obviously, your division is hot right now. This fight, your fight coming up. You know, maybe one of the biggest ones in Teofimo versus Shakur. Just looking at that fight stylistically, how does it play out in the ring?
It's 50-50. You know, in order for you to participate in this sport, you got to have a high level of confidence. I feel like both of them has a high level of confidence. Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson, but styles make fights. Naturally, I think Teofimo Lopez is stronger than Shakur. Naturally, I think he has more athleticism than Shakur, and he got a good IQ on the sport itself. But Shakur, I feel like he's a more smarter fighter. He's a more technical fighter. You know, I'm not saying that he's a square or he's just a textbook fighter, but he's seasoned, he's poised. I feel like mentally he's more mature. Like, he don't go outside of the boundaries on taking risks. So a lot of times you will see him fight somebody.
Russell adds that Lopez's power and explosive style become much more dangerous when he combines them with calm patience, allowing him to land clean shots without exposing himself to danger. By looking closely at the Lomachenko fight, Russell explains that Lopez's success is not just about strength or natural ability, but about smart decisions, the ability to adjust, and strong mental focus. This breakdown shows that when Lopez stays controlled and follows a clear strategy, he becomes a very serious high-level threat inside the ring.
Fight to a degree. You know, that's why everybody was criticizing that for. Oh, he's a born fighter. He's a careful fighter. And I feel like with Teofimo Lopez, he's going to be a careful fighter. Now, just because he's a careful fighter doesn't mean that he isn't punctual with how he do things. I think Shakur, he got a lot of this arsenal that he can use to make him be victorious, as well as Teofimo Lopez. You know what I mean? So it's a 50-50 fight, and it depends on what fighters show up the night of the fight. Right. You know? But if I had to give you my whole honest truth, if Teofimo Lopez show up and is ready to fight just like how he fought Lomachenko.
That wraps up today's video. Stay tuned for the next one.